This is an event that has left countless people stunned and reeling. Picture this, the current president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, being forcibly removed from the National Assembly, the very chamber that stands as the beating heart of the country's democracy. An action of this magnitude does not merely unsettle political circles. It jolts an entire nation and instantly commands global attention. But how did the situation deteriorate to such an extreme? What series of circumstances could possibly lead to a moment of such profound embarrassment for an incumbent head of state? Far more is at play here than ordinary political maneuvering. This is a raw confrontation involving power, perceived betrayal, demands for accountability, and a fierce struggle over the very essence of South African democracy. The origins of that explosive episode stretch back well before Ramaphosa stepped into the chamber that day, carrying himself with the familiar calm demeanor that has long defined him, a leader renowned for his deliberate phrasing and carefully crafted oratory. Yet on this particular occasion, the mood inside the house was palpably different, charged, volatile, almost ready to ignite. Opposition lawmakers were visibly agitated, their low conversations rapidly escalated into murmurs and then into open, forceful protest the moment the president approached the lectern. They had been gearing up for this showdown, patiently awaiting the perfect opportunity to confront him face to face, and this session would serve as the arena for their boldest display of defiance yet. From the opening sentence of his prepared remarks, Ramaphosa faced constant interruptions. Voices shot up from the opposition benches, firing pointed questions that carried none of the customary parliamentary restraint but instead sliced through the room with unmistakable hostility. The charges were grave: allegations of corruption, gross mismanagement, and questionable dealings with public funds. Ramaphosa attempted to hold his ground, clinging to the poised restraint for which he is known, but the volume kept rising, eventually swallowing his words entirely. What started as heckling swiftly descended into pandemonium, with shouting and accusatory gestures engulfing the entire assembly. The speaker repeatedly pounded the gavel and pleaded for calm, yet it was evident the opposition had no intention of relenting. Their demand was unambiguous and uncompromising: the president must leave the chamber immediately. In their eyes, it was unacceptable, indeed illegitimate, for him to stand there delivering an address while serious unanswered questions about his personal conduct hung in the air. Lawmakers wearing the signature red berets jabbed fingers toward the president and chanted in unison, "You must go." Cameras rolled relentlessly, and within minutes social media platforms were ablaze with video clips that spread at lightning speed. Visibly rattled yet striving to maintain dignity, Ramaphosa paused, glanced toward the speaker, searching for some form of intervention or escape. The speaker, caught in an untenable position, was forced to balance strict adherence to parliamentary protocol against the overwhelming rebellion unfolding before her. As the tension climbed dangerously close to physical confrontation, the speaker delivered a breathtaking decision: the president would have to withdraw from the sitting. In a scene few could have imagined, Cyril Ramaphosa, the duly elected president of South Africa, was escorted from the National Assembly under the intense gaze of his political adversaries, assembled journalists, and millions of citizens watching live on television and online. The symbolic weight of that instant is impossible to overstate. For a sitting head of state to be expelled from the legislature sent seismic ripples across the country. This was not merely a procedural sanction, it amounted to public humiliation, an open assault on presidential authority, and a stark illustration of the profound divisions tearing at South Africa's political fabric. Political analysts instantly labeled the episode unprecedented, while opposition parties celebrated it as a triumph of accountability. To Ramaphosa's loyal supporters, it was a bitterly painful spectacle they never believed they would witness. To fully grasp why this moment struck with such force, one must examine the chain of events and pressures that brought the country here. Ramaphosa has faced relentless scrutiny throughout his tenure, with scandal after scandal eroding public trust. From the controversial Fela Farm saga to widespread anger over persistent unemployment, deepening inequality, and chronic electricity blackouts, his administration has been under near constant attack. Opposition figures have repeatedly accused him of dodging responsibility, of hiding behind polished rhetoric while ordinary South Africans endure hardship. In their narrative, the dramatic ejection from Parliament was not mere theatre, it was a long overdue moment of reckoning. Yet the incident also forces uncomfortable questions to the surface. What does it say about the state of South African democracy when the nation's highest elected official cannot address the legislature without being physically removed? Is this evidence of vibrant, necessary pushback and accountability, or a warning sign that the system itself is sliding toward institutional breakdown? Public sentiment remains sharply split. Some citizens applaud the opposition's boldness, seeing it as courageous resistance against a leader they consider out of touch and ineffective. Others condemn the behavior as reckless and disrespectful, arguing that it sets a perilous precedent that could permanently damage the foundations of orderly governance. On the streets of Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, and beyond, reactions poured out instantly. People argued passionately over radio phone-ins, inside minibus taxis, and across every social media platform. Hashtags such as #Ramaphosa removed and #Parliament in chaos dominated trends for hours. Memes, some mercilessly mocking the president, others fiercely defending him, flooded timelines. The national mood swung between shock, outrage, and the kind of grim humor that so often surfaces when South African politics mirrors the country's deeper social strains. Television and radio studios filled with commentators dissecting the fallout and speculating on its implications for the African National Congress, the long-dominant ruling party.